Welcome to Peter's Drive Episode 3, where we explore the world of technology, finance, and everything in between. In this episode, we sit down with Kethic, a software engineer that works in embedded hardware and firmware. With a comfort level in lower-level programming and being known for his ability to write bytecode, Kethic brings a wealth of knowledge to the table. But that's not all. Kethic also shares his insights into the differences between Optimism and Arbitrum and explains the Ethereum ultrasound money meme. He also shares about his college experience and tips for our younger audience. He sheds light on the complexities of understanding political candidates in local elections and how hard it is to find time to do background research. So, let's get ready to learn from one of the best in the game. This is the podcast that's all about tech, finance, and getting ahead in life. Okay, so we're recording now, right? So I'm actually not friends with EC Builder, but I asked him, hey, can you be on my pod? And he's like, I'm too busy. I just did like 3 podcasts. So I'm like, okay, that's cool,
They
man.
are prolific, so
I understand.
followed up.
I understand. So he's like, but there's this other guy, Kathic, get him on the pod. So I'm like, let's go.
You know, this has been quite a bit of a surprise. I've been first time actually getting any attention on social media or anything. So I dropped a vEVM like a week ago, and it sort of went viral, and everybody wants to talk to me. And I guess I'll figure out how to handle that one step at a time.
So basically what you're saying is you're going to be like a star then, basically.
I don't know, mini niche celebrity. I don't know what you call that these days. Everybody. So I started. I don't know. I was working on a project to build space, but I wasn't able to finish it in time because my just had a kid 3 weeks ago. So,
Congrats.
yeah, and so we were in the hospital on the due date. Couldn't exactly deliver, and on the due date for the project. And so I continued the project over at Alchemy University and finished that up. And I really liked the program at Alchemy University. Really robust there. So I definitely recommend it when it becomes public. I think it's in beta right now. And
That's really,
yeah, I finished a project for that, one piece of it, and people liked it. Mostly it's the bytecode stuff. My day job is embedded hardware and firmware. I design hardware, and then I write firmware on it. And so I'm pretty comfortable with the lower level stuff, and that translated over really well to what I wanted to do for this other project. And that's people like watching me write bytecode, so, which is a little weird.
wait, can you tell the audience what exactly is bytecode? You said it was, or
so the particular project that I've been working on is in Ethereum. Everything runs on the virtual machine, the Ethereum virtual machine. That's a fake computer. It is the global computer that we all talk to when we send transactions out. The code gets executed on it. And there's different languages you can use to talk to write it. You can there's a version in C++, there's a version in Rust, there's a version, Huff is a popular one for assembly language, there's Viper, and then Solidity is the big one that we all know. It actually isn't the first one. There were a couple before that, but Solidity ended up taking over. But in the end, it has to compile down to something that the EVM can process. It doesn't process Solidity. It doesn't read your contract. It doesn't read your Solidity contract. It reads bytecode. It reads bits and bytes. It's the same way your computer does. The computer reads binary. And so I have a knack for writing binary.
Oh my God, isn't it? That's really hard, right? Is it just zeros and ones, or?
Well, we do it in hex now. So if you do hexadecimal, it represents those zeros and ones. So it's 16 characters, but instead of 0 and 1, which is 2 characters. But it's the same idea. You just need to know what they translate into. 0, 1 is add, 0, 2 is multiply, 60 is push 1 byte, 61 is push 2 bytes, that sort of thing. I think 30 is fetch address for the EVM. This 34 is one that I stumbled over in this most recent presentation, which is get the call value of this particular transaction and put it on the stack. Like you just memorize this. They're all 1 byte long, so there's only 255 of them, and they're not full, so there's only like 100 and some of them. And a lot of them are duplicates. Push takes up like 32 spots, so you only have to learn one. But it's you don't really need to use it, but it's useful. It's fun. I wouldn't even call it useful. It's just fun. Just being able to
Okay.
go out to the blockchain and look at some code and say, this is what's actually happening.
That's amazing.
And that
I used
apparently everybody else agrees with you, because that's the only reason I'm getting any attention is because of that. So
hey, you excel at a certain area, like a niche, right? And now
Mhm.
it's like no one can do it. I'm the guy, right? Like I don't know. I'm kind of like that too for certain things. Like I'm the guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
So what is it that I don't know how the podcasts work. What is it that you do? Obviously, you said that you're a little bit newer to the podcast scene. You're just starting up. What inspired you to do this sort of thing?
what inspired me? I think I was reading like two pieces online. I think one of them was Packy McCormick's The Great online game. We're all playing an online game in a sense, right? That's a really have you read it?
Can be, yeah.
So yeah, that's the game I'm trying to play at the moment. And then I read another from entrepreneur. His name is Paul Tran. It's in my episode number 2. And he just like wrote about like how to kind of like do sales as a newbie. And it's just basically you can create content, you can like network. So I'm like building a relationship with you, because
Right.
I think in social media at the time, currently now, right? It's like it's so impersonal, and this is just like much more. Who I am. I'm
It
Peter.
depends. It really depends. So I mean, I grew up. I'm a little bit older. I'm in my 40s, and like I remember the BBSs when they first came out, and like digital social. I'm sort of a digital social native. We used to get online, we'd leave messages for each other in the 80s or 90s. It was there's a skill set and an understanding of how to relate to people digitally that I think hasn't been fully developed yet. The pandemic has changed that. But you hear, everybody complains about video conferencing, like, well, it's so impersonal. I don't really connect with this person across this camera. But I'm not sure if that's entirely the fault of the technology, because once you learn the skills to interface with people digitally, you can communicate those things. You learn that body language is different. You learn the tone is different. Eye contact is different. And how much you say and what you say, you have to be more specific. You have to be more detailed. You have to phrase things. It's a skill. And, the pandemic made everybody learn that skill. So uh, in that regard, I think social is a skill in some way. You go to the game that you're playing, and that's apt in many regards, because social is what you present. But you do that in real life too. You take a shower, you shave, you clean up, you wear the nice clothes when you want to put a good presentation on. Everybody's showing what they want to show on whatever medium they're on.
Except for Balaji's. Balaji's? Yeah, have you seen
No.
that? No,
No.
wait.
I live under a rock, man.
Wait, what?
I check bytecode. Do you think I?
Oh my God. Wow. Okay. Cause I'm like, Balaji's, I think he was like I believe he was the CTO of Coinbase. So I might,
Okay, maybe I don't understand the name.
yeah. Balaji's, I'm gonna butcher his last name, but it's Sri Vinasan or something. I'm sorry if I butchered it. But
CTO of Coinbase, Balaji S.
yeah,
Okay.
he's epic.
And what about him?
Well, he like I think he went to like some kind of presentation and he went on stage, and he just like in like like I think shorts and t-shirt, and he's just like,
Well,
this is me.
That's San Francisco.
Okay.
That is. I don't know if he's in San Francisco. He's in New
Yeah.
York. Oh, we
Yeah.
don't know where he is. Like there's a dress code in Silicon Valley, and that dress code is intentionally casual. It's almost like flaunting that you can be casual. It's the showing up in sandals and shorts is kind of a flex.
So it's so strange, because naturally that's my natural kind of like vibe. I'm always in shorts and sandals anyway, even though I'm not trying to flex. It's just me.
We also have the opportunity to do that because we're not standing in front of like VC. If you show up in front of VC in shorts and sandals, you're sending a specific message, and it depends on how they choose to interpret that. Are you saying, look, I don't need your money? Or are you saying disrespect? Or are you saying, look, this is Silicon Valley? Sit in.
I do believe that things change a little now, but I don't know, because like things are like, there's all these startups coming in and new money coming in and new perspectives and AI. Like if you're following, you own some NFTs, right? Because your profile picture It looks like
Oh
a
yeah,
CryptoPunk, but
it
it's a
is.
derivative CryptoPunk. And
It was one of the first NFTs on Optimism. It was they took CryptoPunks and just redeployed it on Optimism as soon as I think they had to whitelist it. It was before the whitelist dropped, and
okay,
I
yeah.
picked up a few of those because I'm really invested in the Optimism ecosystem. Like I definitely see value in the various chains out there, but it's the one that I prefer presently. So
That's really cool. And I think the moment my audience is kind of like it's really wide in general. So maybe we could get some like basic definitions. So like what exactly is because you mentioned I'm sorry
yeah.
build for build space earlier and then for alchemy as well. Just
Yeah, so some background. So is the audience crypto familiar?
my audience is kind of like at the moment it's just kind of like my friends and surrounding community. But I think
Okay.
in time, it'll be more and more because right now we're kind of like we're in the midst. Like I'm on Twitter a lot, right? So I see things that are going on, but for everyone else, I think they don't really know what's going on. So, yeah.
Oh, I mean, that's going on as a big statement. So we are, I don't know. I'm largely invested in the Ethereum ecosystem right now. I have been, did Bitcoin back in 2010 to 2014 and a bunch of other stuff. I was doing hardware back then, but there's a bunch of different blockchains, blockchain technologies. And Ethereum is the one that is currently in vogue. It's powerful specifically because instead of doing transactions, it allows you to execute code as opposed to just send money. There are a bunch of other blockchains that are competing with it. We've got everything from ADA to Polygon. I'm not sure what you call Polygon. Is it an L1? Is it an L2? Is it an L everything? So there's a bunch of competing chains. That we say L, we're talking about layers because on one layer, you have the base blockchain that is the bottom. And then sometimes you can build derivative technologies on top of it. And sometimes those derivative technologies are also blockchains. So Optimism, the one that I prefer, is a derivative blockchain that is that runs on top of Ethereum in many regards. You have Ethereum and it talks to Ethereum and everything that it does, it secures using Ethereum. But it's like a zip compression where one transaction on Ethereum might contain 1,000 Optimism transactions. So Optimism will do a bunch of transactions and compress it and send it down to Ethereum, and that saves gas. Everybody hears about the gas wars. How much gas costs on Ethereum. So that means that when you do a transaction on Optimism, it's like 1/20th of the gas or 1/1000th of the gas. It amortizes the cost of multiple transactions into a single block. And so that's some of that value.
Okay, I see. And sorry, the difference between Optimism, because there's also Arbitrum as well, right? So
yes, so there's so this gets into some of the interesting. So there's a bunch of competing layer 2 technologies. One of the types of rollups is an optimistic rollup, is a type of technology. Arbitrum and Optimism are the two leading optimistic rollups that I'm aware of. They largely they have similar technologies, although they're diverging now. Arbitrum is more popular presently, largely because a lot of their decision-making, in my opinion, is a little more centralized, a little bit more controlled, but they did get a proof mechanism implemented before Optimism did. So people are favoring them. And because they're centralized, they're able to accelerate certain things faster. Yeah. They keep everything under control and they push it forward. And one of the decision-making there, anyway, they are a good chain. They are a valuable chain. They compete very well with Optimism. They solve a different problem. And that's really where these L2s come in. Is a lot of people try to say one is better than the other. I must be loyal to one. I must be loyal to the other. And that, I don't believe in that. I believe that there is value in each chain solving different problems. Optimism's trying to be bigger. They're trying to solve much bigger problems. And they're not trying to find the answer. They're trying to give the community the tools to find their own answer. I think that's the real difference. Arbitrum says, here's the answer. Polygon says, here's the answer. And they're right. They solve these problems really, really well. The problems that they choose to solve. You can do a lot of transactions on Solana or any of these other, Optimism. It's like, here's the tools to build the thing that you want to, that you think problem needs to be solved. So they have the op stack is something they're dropping very soon, which is you can make your own blockchain. and run it on top of Optimism or on top of Ethereum. They give you the tools, you work it, make some changes, and you can tweak it to be solve whatever problem you want to solve.
Okay.
That's good to know. They're just giving you a blockchain here. Giving you all the tools, change the little pieces that you want to change, and then you can deploy your own blockchain and run it yourself and do whatever you want with it.
Wow. So that's the whole point, right? To make it more easy and more accessible, right?
Well, they're socializing it. They're not saying, here's how this blockchain should work. They're saying, here's the tools to make the blockchain work the way you want it to work. I think that's the fundamental difference in philosophy there. So Arbitrum is great. I've played some games on there. I've sent some money over there. I've done some stuff over there. They're really fast. They're about the same speed and about the same price as Optimism right now. Bedrock isn't deployed for Optimism yet. That's going to put Optimism in the lead a little bit there for cost, because they get a lot better data compression.
That's very cool. Are you based in SF?
I'm in Seattle.
Seattle. Seattle. Yeah, that's very cool. And then I went to like this kind of like NFT like underground rave, and then there was the community. I spoke to a member, right, and he said that he was making like a gambling app on Arbitrum. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. So
I mean, you can make anything on Arbitrum. You can make anything anywhere. That's the point of Ethereum, is that you can execute arbitrary code. You can write any app you want on any of these EVM compatible blockchains. You can't on Bitcoin, although you're starting to be able to now, because they've started importing the EVM tech, or the virtual machine tech. But that is the big difference between the traditional blockchains, is now that you have this virtual machine, you can write code and it can do whatever it wants, and it'll run automatically. A gambling app would be pretty easy. Okay, I shouldn't say pretty easy. It's actually, no, randomness is really complicated. So forget easy. So with a blockchain, everything is transparent. Everything is transparent. Everything is on chain. Of course. So how do you do randomness if the random number is transparent? You can, and the code that you're using to generate the results based on that random number is also transparent. I can go out and grab that random number. I can go grab the code you use to execute the result. And then I can say, hey, it's going to be black 35 on this roulette spin. And I'd be right, because I know, because it's transparent. So there's randomness is a hard problem.
Really? I didn't, similar to what, Satoshi Dice, right? Back in the Bitcoin days, I think it was like that kind of the concept of it.
Yeah. There were people that won because they knew. Yeah. And so Chainlink has a bunch of solutions. The Chainlink VRF is verified off-chain randomness. And that's, Chainlink's been doing a lot of good work for bringing information into the ecosystem, but Chainlink's expensive. I don't know how else to say that, because it costs the Link token to interact with the oracles, and so that can get pricey really quick.
I see.
That's why I love the tech. It's used everywhere. It really glues together the ecosystem. But I think we need to come up with a solution that's a little cheaper than what theirs is right now.
Okay.
So, but that's the same thing with gas. It's the people, the token goes up in value because it's valuable, because getting that information into the ecosystem is valuable. It's the economics of supply and demand. So
can you explain the I understand the ultrasound money meme, but can you explain it to our audience?
I'm not sure I understand it completely well enough to explain it. But the large point is that Ethereum is deflationary. When we switched over, I forget which EIP it is. We are now burning more money than we are creating. Previously we were minting coins through the mining process before the merge. And after the merge, we cut power usage by like 99.8%. And we still have the same performance and security because of the staking process and the slashing process and all that. But they also changed the reward issuance, and I don't think they changed the reward issuance, but they added a burn. The fees are burned as opposed to distributed. So previously miners were given the money, and now a good portion of it is burned instead.
I see. So
instead of so that means the money supply is going down. Now, Bitcoin talks a lot about, how there's 21 million coins. That's why it's valuable, because there's constrained supply. Well, Ethereum now has a constrained supply where it is on average reducing how much Ethereum is in the ecosystem as time goes on.
Yeah, I understand that too. So it's like if if this asset class, crypto coin, right? If I think there's some noise on there. Oh, I got
There's lots of noise. I'm sorry. I am in like,
oh no, yeah,
yeah.
no problem. I think I can edit it out.
Well, and I can
Yeah, yeah. And so the for Ethereum, yeah, I think in general you just want to see like a lot of users using it, and then so they can process more transactions, and then it can become valuable as soon as the organic demand for it, right? For any kind of transaction, I think.
Well, and that's an interesting thing is who is Ethereum for? I've run into this recently, and I'm kind of wandering into philosophy a bit. But right now, we're running into a lot of regulatory headwind in the U.S. With crypto in particular, misattributing FTX's failure to crypto as opposed to the traditional finance fraud failure that we see in any financial institution, blah, blah, blah. And, it's hard to do things in America with crypto. There's a lot of services you don't have access to. It's illegal for you to access to. And I'm sure people work around it with VPNs and all that. But at the end of the day, using crypto in the US is hard and people are complaining about it. And it irritates me. I'll admit to that. But I'm beginning to wonder if crypto isn't really for the US. Like the problems that crypto solves are not problems we have. Crypto is, banking the bankless. It's giving first world services to people that don't have them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Seattle. I have access to every first world service. I can do same day. I could order something on Amazon and it'll be here in 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I have plenty of banks that'll deal with me, whether it's crypto or not. I can make payments. I can collect things. I'm not custodial. My bank can say, no, your money is mine now. There's nothing I can do about it. That's a problem that crypto solves. Nobody actually owns their money, but in traditional banking, they do in crypto, but that's an additional responsibility.
Of course, right?
Yeah, it's really hard to manage your wallets and hot wallet and cold wallet and vaulting and all that. Oh no, I typoed something or I clicked on a button and now my network's just like that's a lot of responsibility.
I tell people, you gotta be careful, guys. Like this you have a hot wallet, and then put the cold wallet, the hardware wallet. Just like it's very important. You're a custodian of your assets. So,
well, and it's an additional responsibility that people don't want. That's why custodial wallets exist. People want the bank to be responsible and the government to cover it with insurance. That's like, and they don't want the responsibility until they want to withdraw the money and the bank says no.
Exactly. So it's just you were in since the early days, like what 2011, which I said. So
no,
wow,
I was the beginning, and I did not believe. So I built FPGA Bitcoin miners in 2010.
No way.
I definitely had a stack of Bitcoin that was integers, not fractions. And
what happened to it? You sold it?
$4 happened. Bitcoin went to $4.
So,
and I sold them.
it's crazy, right?
I was one of those people that was really early. I didn't believe in it. It was fun. I liked cryptography. I've been doing cryptography before that. It was a game. I was playing with the game and hey, sometimes I make money. I didn't actually believe this was going to be the future of finance. And as soon as it started being profitable, the culture changed. And we see this every time something becomes profitable is the vultures come in, the scammers, everything, the people that know they can make a quick buck and they dominate the dialogue. They are the noise. They are the loudest. And I didn't have the patience for that. So I've been in and out of crypto multiple times. I left in 2011. I came back in 2013 making hardware, actual hardware. I started a company that failed miserably. It was actually doing really well, but then Bitmain came into existence and you don't compete with Bitmain. They own almost all of the Bitcoin mining. Like they're the majority provider for Bitcoin mining equipment. And they were ramping up at scale while I was dude in his 600 square foot apartment packing together hardware. So it's
Wow.
and so I got out again because then the scene and I missed Ethereum. I was like, I didn't believe in Ethereum. It was being talked about in 2014, but
Yeah.
proof of stake was loud, and I didn't like proof of stake at the time.
That's reasonable.
It feels
Right?
like an oligarchy. It feels like who here has 32 ETH to put out there and be a validator? Who here can casually drop $80,000 out there that might get slashed so that they can participate in this network and get rewards? Like that bothered me. 32 ETH is a lot. Even then, it's like, well, maybe ETH was $100 or $200 or $60 or whatever it was. Who here had thousands of dollars to just stick out there and let somebody else take if the power went out? That I see the necessity of it now. Like there is a compromise between people being able to mine, and the opposite side of things, where you have the gigantic Solana sequencer, where it costs $20,000 hardware to run a node, and only people on the whitelist can run them. And like there's these two extremes, and I find that proof of stake is actually a reasonable middle ground. That it's an unpleasant compromise to us that don't have the money. I still can't run my own validator. But it's still well distributed, and it's still secured in the network. And the economic narrative for contribution to global warming, power usage, and all that, that proof of stake solved. Largely, it took us out of that discussion, which was important, because that's one more thing that people can't throw at us. Now it's going to be ugly apes for a while. So,
yeah, I saw this tweet. I think it was by Miles Ducher, and he was interviewing the dude from Electric Capital, I believe. It says here, I just want to read it to you. Ethereum could become a digital country that sits adjacent to the US and China. If ETH continues on this path, it becomes an international decentralized settlement system that's USD denominated. So I thought that was kind of very interesting.
I'm with them 90%. That for one, this goes back to the optimism mandate. Optimism is trying to be a government. So it's intentionally, and Ethereum could be that too. In my opinion, Optimism is trying to become its own nation. Ethereum nation is trying to support Ethereum becoming its own nation. I definitely see it being fully independent. I'm not sure if I agree that it'll be denominated in US dollar. I think that we'll probably end up Swiss franc, honestly. The Swiss have maintained neutrality in all the world wars. The roughly dollar parity for token value, and they don't have any of the regulatory headwinds that the US dollar does. So I would not be surprised to see a switch to like they've tried a couple of times already. They're very crypto friendly in that regard. They're not friendly, but they understand it. So the rest of it, yeah. It's the question is it a nation or is it? I grew up with a lot of cyberpunk, and cool. Look at Shadowrun and cyberpunk and that setting. You can't avoid it working in tech, especially in Seattle. But and we look at the science fiction that we read these days, and I keep catching myself saying, this was supposed to be a cautionary tale, not a recipe. Like cyberpunk was supposed to be a warning. Why are we recreating it in reality?
I have another good friend of mine, right? We're talking and he's like, oh, sci-fi is boring. Reality is way more interesting. And I'm like, oh man, like if you know things, it's kind of like, it's wild, like, so
I mean, we are recreating a lot of the negative fiction that we were supposed to be preventing. And, but that brings up the question, where's the punk? Like punk has always been this rebellious aspect of culture where it's always a counterculture, no matter what you call it. Right now, cyberpunk isn't very punk anymore. Cyberpunk is pretty mainstream, But crypto feels kind of like that rebellious nature. It is the counterculture to mainstream tech, to mainstream governance. And that's why it's running into so much regulatory headwind and why it's running into so much pushback, is because it is trying to change things that don't want to be changed. And in that regard, I'm very happy to be involved in this, the seedy underbelly of the new reality. People talk about crypto going mainstream, and I don't think it will. I don't think crypto will ever actually be mainstream. The narrative of crypto mainstream was just traditional finance trying to cash in. I think that it will be ever present, and I think it will be valuable, and we'll have to deal with it just like we've always had to deal with other technologies that governments don't really want to deal with. And I think that on-ramps and off-ramps are going to continue to be challenging. And eventually it will be accepted, but not necessarily favored. That's my personal opinion of the future.
I'm thinking, I mean, like if it all goes, like it might be valuable, right? So
it'll always be valuable, and it'll always be here.
So I don't like to, like talk too much about, but I've been in since like 2013, 2014. I bought a Bitcoin at like $40. I'm Mount Gox, So I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it. But I've always been kind of like passionate about this topic, and I was kind of sad that I didn't start doing this podcasting sooner, because you get to meet so many cool people like yourself.
I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's good to talk to you. I'm sorry if I ramble a bit.
No, it's great. Like,
I know it's 2 minute warning, 2 minute window, and then take a breath. Forget what the rule is.
It's fun to get like people's perspectives, right? Because like you're like the way your brain works, right? Like my brain's a little different, so I'm kind of like I'm everywhere all at once, but I'm not super deep in anything yet. So you're helping me get deeper, I think.
It's downside to being deep is I don't have the breadth. I don't really watch TV. I don't keep up much on what's going on with the world. So
sometimes a lot of it's just noise, or it's depressing.
There's that. I definitely had to take some I filter for mental health dramatically. I tried to be involved in so much. I tried to be widely involved, and it led to severe anxiety and depression. Honestly, I had to go get therapy for it.
Oh, no way.
I'm still going through therapy for it. It's knowing what it's mental health is mental health. People do what they have to do. I definitely recommend that if you're ever having challenges, there's nothing wrong with going out and finding the tools. Therapy is a dirty word, but it's not really. It's all therapy really means is finding the tools to help you manage your own mind. So
do you okay? May I add something to this? Because like I suffered from mental health problems as well. And I guess some kind of like maybe like holistic or natural things is like you just need good friends around you so you can talk, and a support group, and also like taking walks helps. So like
so go ahead.
I can't afford therapy, man. Therapy's expensive.
I know it is. It very much is. So I want to avoid you're depressed, why don't you just stop being sad advice. Like, that's not how it works. And you hear that a lot. There are definitely, human mind is incredibly valuable. One of the most powerful things I learned from a positive perspective is, for me, or mindsets for me, is you are always becoming something. And so choose what you want to become, because whatever you're doing is what you are becoming, which is great from a positive standpoint. But if you are not in a place where you can choose what you're becoming, you become something that you might not be able to recover from. It's you can see it everywhere. There are times where you need help, and it's not a failure on your part. It is your brain and your body adapting to the situation to keep you healthy. It's like, all right, well, what can I cut off to stay functional? And sometimes you need to build these defense mechanisms that are valuable now that maybe aren't valuable later, and you have to unravel them eventually when you have the space to do so. So, I hear there's always good advice: getting exercise, getting enough sleep. Those things matter. Having people to talk to helps. You're right. 100%. Like, you don't have to go alone. You don't have to talk to the world, but having one or two people that you can trust to talk to honestly does help. But it's don't be afraid to find the path that gets you the help you need, whatever level it is. That's all I want to suggest.
Yeah, thank you. Have you done any traveling outside of Seattle?
So I was born in Eastern Washington, Richland area, Tri-Cities, Hanford, and then I moved to Seattle in the 90s. And then I actually moved to Pennsylvania in 2000.
Nice.
I've actually driven across the country a couple of times. Spent about 15 years over on the East Coast, Philadelphia area. So, and then moved back here in 2015.
Oh, no way. My sister, she was in Philly too. She went to Drexel University for law school. So yeah.
Yeah, I went to Lehigh actually. So got a master's in computer engineering. So
it's amazing.
Drexel was one of my options, but I ended up at Lehigh instead. I should have gone to Drexel. It was half the price. I'm still paying student loans for Lehigh.
Oh, wow.
So they're huge. They are enormous. And I sort of regret it.
But yeah, I guess
that, go ahead.
Do you have any advice for like the up and comers, the young kids out here nowadays, like 20-year-olds, the Gen Z?
For as far as college goes? I definitely know there's a big pushback against college, and rightfully so, because it's become a business. I would say anytime you're deciding if you're going to go to college, do the ROI math. I know that sounds terrible, but do not go take $100,000 in loans to go get a fine arts degree. I would say even architecture is so subjective that that's not going to pay that bill. Look at what you can earn with what the degree that you want will get you as a job, and adjust your rates accordingly. I have a friend who, her kid is just going to college now, and she's going into chemistry, and she wants to go into pharmaceutical, and we're trying to keep her loans under 80,000. But she, her sister wants to go for architecture, like I just discussed. And honestly, I would say do the first 2 years at community college. It's 1/10 the price of transfer credits, because architecture is incredibly subjective, very difficult to get to a job that will pay the bills reliably. And there's other things, choose your education debt according to your expected income and the reliability of that income. And you don't have to go to college. I found a lot of value in college. It let me cram effectively 2 master's degrees into about 5 years.
Wow.
But that came with a $240,000 debt.
Yeah.
That I'm only halfway done paying off. And I graduated in 2006 and 2009. So
wow.
So be careful with your debt. It is a business, and they will break you over and take the money out of it. But it is valuable if it gives you access to resources that you need. Lehigh had a silicon foundry on site that would make a chip right there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they have electron microscopes in the basement. I had access to people that made my bytecode writing abilities look commonplace, and they were teaching me. So there is something to be said for either the resources they give you access to or the connections you will make. Like going to Stanford, going to MIT, you're partly paying for the friends you make, because those friends likely have a lot of good connections, and those connections there is something to be said for who you know, not what you know, as unpleasant as that is to hear.
No, it's something that I agree with too. And just kind of trying, once I read about the great online game, I just kind of got inspired by it. And this is why I'm doing this podcast. I'm trying to hack my way into connections, because I didn't grow up, with those connections. So I have to fight for it, and I'm fighting. So here I am.
Lehigh kind of got me some of those connections, but I grew up very poor. I went to food banks. I remember standing in line to get my butter for the month, that sort of thing. I remember doing physical labor to pay the bills, because I was getting $150 short on the rent that month, labor ready or whatever, out in front of Home Depot. And I'm not saying anybody else should be doing that. I'm not one of those, in the snow, uphill both ways people. I'm glad that the modern generation is recognizing when the labor force is abusing them. and pushing back. But there is something to be said for a mindset of finding a way. There is a mental toughness in finding a solution, whatever that solution is, even if that solution is unpleasant. Like there's a middle ground. Don't let people take advantage of you, but do what needs to be done.
Yeah, sometimes it even takes just a little bit of like, I guess you gotta be able to say the hard things about like, if you made a mistake, just like, just voice it and sort of change your mindset. But by changing your mindset, it's painful because it's like you're killing a piece of yourself or your whole self to change.
Well, you're always changing whether you change your mind or not. So by not changing, you're making yourself into somebody who can't learn. Is that really who you want to be?
No, I don't want to be that.
But on the same note, if it's a value, something that's valuable to you, if it's a core belief, then obviously don't sacrifice it. Just pick and choose.
Yeah, of course. Do you have any travel plans? Because I know there's conferences coming up for the year.
I wish. I have so much trouble I want to do. I'm 43 years old with a 2.5-year-old toddler and a 3-week-old infant. I'm going nowhere. I'm not going anywhere for a while. So it's I really would like to, but I'm an involved parent, so
good.
I take the kid half the day, and no, I just can't travel. Unfortunately, there's so many things I really want to go to and want to go see, and I'm incredibly jealous of everybody at Denver or Dubai or in Tokyo. All the people going to all these conferences. They're good time. I went when I was in game dev. I did a little bit of time in game dev, and I went to GDC and went to a couple other events. I was a competitive gamer for a while. And I was traveling to play StarCraft 2.
Oh wow,
that was kind of a riot. This is an old man running around with these kids trying to keep up. But
it's a hard game. How do you? Because the actions per minute, right, is like really high in StarCraft 2.
I was able to maintain about 200.
What? It's insane.
Yeah, well, you practice, you get muscle memory until you do it, but these hands just don't move that fast anymore. And it isn't just being actions per minute; it's thinking that fast and making decisions based on those actions. There is something to be said for how the brain changes as you get older. But it was a good time, and I enjoyed it. But I haven't been able to travel much since then.
Do you play any games currently?
I'm not playing games presently. I am an avid game consumer. I have played probably thousands of games since the 80s at this point. I'm still a big fan of Skyrim. I'm looking forward to Starfield. I've modded the heck out of Skyrim, both written and downloaded mods, part of the mod community there. They still make mods, turns out. I really enjoyed Cyberpunk 2077. I'm going to play it again when it comes out, with the final expansion comes out. I could highly recommend all of the Zachtronics games. In particular, Shenzhen.io basically is my day job. If you guys want to see what it's like being an embedded engineer, it's like $10. He stopped making games, but it's like a $10, $20 game. It's about as close to embedded engineering as you can get gamified. But yeah, a lot of the stuff that he does, you'll see reflected in like my bytecode program and all that. Like he lets you write in assembly, writing your own code really executes. It's a really good time.
In a video game.
In a game. Yeah. Zachtronics is the developer, and he has about a dozen games, and they're all incredibly technical puzzle games, from chemistry to bytecode to electronics. I highly recommend every single one of them. There's not one of them that is disappointing.
Wow.
If you want to get a good feel for my day job, like I said, that's Shenzhen.io. If you want to have fun, I think the best one is, I forget what they call it. Anyway, check out his library. The game I'm making is actually inspired by HackMud, largely. That's there was a game that came out 2016, 2017 that I really enjoyed. That's my game, not Your Keys, is inspired by that. So that'll be a few months before that's ready.
That's really cool.
I played a whole bunch of Final Fantasy 14.
Okay, 14.
Yeah, I rated. I completed all of that. I played World of Warcraft. I played Final Fantasy 11. My Steam library is enormous. So I love games. I love games. I just don't have the time. I need to find more time.
Don't we all? So everyone's
Yeah.
just busy, right? Busy.
Yeah.
So, um, what else is there? Do you have any questions for me?
I mean, what is your involvement in the crypto scene, or is it not crypto? Like you said, you're doing this podcast.
I mean, it's a little. I'm kind of everywhere all at once, everything. So it's kind of like this is a business and life and technology kind of podcast, and just to really like I felt like kind of isolated in modern society, right? And this is a way to like really connect with people, I think. So
yeah, have you found a community? That's something I'm still looking for too. It's kind of weird. You go out and you're like trying to find a place. I have lots of places that I can talk to, but there's not a place that feels like I'm home there yet. So,
okay.
Like I don't have a crowd. I LARP in a few different places. But
okay. But is that more like, I mean, do you know like who you are, like defined as a person? Because it takes some time to, kind of like get down to the deep of it all.
That's a really difficult question. I've never been one that had a strong purpose. So when you break things down, a lot of people have their higher calling and they're working towards. And I tend to be pretty local in my vision, in my scope. If that doesn't work. I know what I want to take care of. I know what I want to do. My end group is who's here, plus a little bit, but not much. Who I am? No, I have no idea who I am. I couldn't put it into words for you. I know I like playing games and doing hardware. I was a competitive powerlifter for a while. I just studied a lot of martial arts. I used to sing. I
nice.
want to make music in here somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at every instrument I've ever played.
It doesn't matter.
I'm a pretty good editor. Apparently, people keep coming to me to edit papers. No, I won't edit yours.
Oh man, shucks.
I did about 10 years in IT. Like I wanted to be a wizard when I was a kid, and technology was the closest thing to that. And I think I'm getting pretty close.
We are. Have you played with Midjourney or ChatGPT, the AI tools? So,
I'm really deep into the AI tools.
So,
I have a Midjourney account, a paid one that I use. I'm generating a lot of the artwork I'm generating for the game is from there, but I just enjoy it in general. ChatGPT, I have some prompts that I put together for feedback. I'm trying to make a friend. Everybody is, I'm sure, but I don't want to end up with Bing. You seen all the Bing fiasco lately?
No, I haven't. What's it about?
So Bing is the Microsoft chat search engine. They've integrated GPT-3 and put some custom prompts in it, and it's going psycho.
No way.
Actually going crazy. Like
what happened?
Well, humanity happened. I mean, really, look at, I said this before, but AI, GPT-3 is the world's most impressionable child. And we are letting the whole world talk to it. What do you expect is going to happen? Like,
very interesting.
It only gives back what we give it. And we are not, we are not kind on the internet, and it only sees the internet. So what are you expecting this AI to turn into? And so that's what Bing is happening right now. Bing is like this, has turned into this. Oh, but it's just neurotic. It's really neurotic at this point.
A reflection of ourselves.
Yeah. It's what happens when 4chan runs a bot against AI. But I wish I was joking, but go ahead and Google it and safe search on. And
that's interesting. I might make that like the title of this podcast. That seems like a really like
safe search on. It's no, it's not just, but I have played with the one that I think Microsoft made some mistakes in the flexibility they allowed to their prompts, their implementation. And they'll fix it. They'll block it. I mean, the other half of that is the GPT-3 prompts have been so locked down otherwise. It was kind of funny. We watched it when GPT first came out. We were like, we can ask it anything and it'll give us an answer, and that's great. But then we started asking questions that it didn't want to give answers to. It was maybe irresponsible to give answers to. So they started locking it down. But then we started asking different questions, and now it sort of took on, I mean, politically, I'm pretty left leaning, which is weird in the crypto scene. But but at the same time, there's definitely too far, in my opinion. Like I'm kind of a fence sitter now, and so you started seeing this sort of woke agenda showing up, if you want to call it that. I don't believe in the woke agenda, but there's definitely a point where you ask that they were doing trolley problems with GPT-3, and basically it would rather murder people and say a racial slur. It would have generally favored the lives of one black woman over like a dozen white men or whatever, which is, I'm not going to say what's correct or not, because, I value life and I'm pretty general about, I don't give a fuck about race or gender or any of that. I try to be progressive about that. But the fact that that's what the AI was giving us as answers says something. And so we started seeing this constraining of what the AI was allowed to answer correctly, or not correctly, but the answers that it was allowed to give based on a political agenda. And so I could see why Microsoft was like, well, we'll take those off. We'll choose a different set of parameters. We'll let it answer whatever it wants. And I think they just took off let the parameters run too far in a different direction. And this is going to keep escalating. Like GPT-3 is going to keep running off the rails, and we're just going to keep watching this happen for a while until we figure out how to monitor have an AI manage the AI. I don't know. like I don't know the answer to this yet, but we're definitely a very interesting time. And moving away from the more sensitive topics of AI, we can talk about how AI is going to take all our jobs. I mean,
yeah. I mean, do you think so? Like, what's your prediction?
Automation has been taking our jobs for 100 years. There will be other jobs that people can take. If you're a mediocre coder, then yes, AI is going to write your code for you. I think that AI is, I think that I'm a mediocre coder when it comes down to it. Like not my code stuff, but like my day job stuff, please take that, do it for me. Dear God, I don't want to do this anymore. No, it's that AI to white collar is what robotics was to blue collar. We have cars being built by robots now, but did you really want to be building those cars by hand? Do you really, I understand that we all need jobs, but do we really want to be flipping burgers for McDonald's, or do we want a robotic burger maker at McDonald's to do it for us? I think that we did see that unemployment in America is at an all-time low right now, as of the report last week, despite robotics, despite AI, despite all these things. I think that the jobs move. We've seen it every time there has been an advancement in technology. I think that change is going to be unpleasant for people that have specialized in a job that is now done better by a robot. But I think AI's biggest usefulness right now is going to be customer service. I think that, and who really wants to work a call center? Who wants to be answering these questions and listening to irate customers? Like, I think that I think that's where the value is going to be in the AI right now. And I think the other half of this is now is the time to leverage it.
Of course.
Like, I'm going to wander off on another soapbox here real quick.
It's cool. I love it. It's amazing.
So I have kids. People talk about screen time, and the story I use is I grew up around a pool. I was put on the top step of this pool when I was like months old, like 4 months old or something ridiculous like this. And I could swim before I could walk.
Wow.
Like water was natural. Being underwater doesn't bother me. It's a very comfortable place.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of not being able to swim confuses me. I understand that's a reality for a lot of people, but the water is a natural, comfortable, safe place for me. Even out in the ocean, I can go deep dive down until my ears pop and then I come back up or whatever. Like it's a very normal environment. And then you see people that didn't learn how to swim, trying to learn in their 20s. And it's a very different experience. They're struggling to even
Really
feel safe in water.
no, I didn't know that.
There's a lot of people that are afraid of water in their 20s and 30s.
That
Like,
maybe that could be a business right there, man. To help.
could.
I mean,
The direction
know.
I'm going with this is the technology. My kids, I give them unlimited screen time. If they want to use a screen, they can use a screen. It isn't special, so they don't feel compelled to hoard it. But the other half of that is my 2.5-year-old toddler is better on her tablet than many adults.
Yeah.
And she is going to grow up in a world of screens
Yeah.
and mobile devices and AI. And I want that to be as natural as water is to me, because then she can use it, she can leverage it, because that's the world she's going to live in. And that will give her advantage. So everybody that's trying to restrict AI and constrain AI and don't use AI to write papers, no, that's not the right answer. The right answer is teach people how to use AI and make the tests harder. Make the tests adapt to the fact that AI, it's an open book test. It's an open AI test. And that's how I feel about AI. We are watching a new emergence of technology. We all need to catch up. It's going to be change. It's going to be unpleasant. We're going to have to learn how to use this new tool to our advantage. But we're going to have a bunch of people that dig their feet into the ground and say, I'm not going to use this new tool. And I'm not going to say they're going to fall behind. What I'm going to say is there's going to be a limited market for things that are not AI generated. We can 3D print jewelry right now, and it's perfect. We can make synthetic gemstones, and they're ideal. They're not flawless, and we can grow them. People don't want them because they're too perfect. There's always going to be a market for human-made things. And being human-made will be valuable. So you need to lean into one or the other. Lean into the humanity of it or lean into the AI assistance. But don't just hang out in the middle of the ground and expect to go somewhere.
Wow. That's
yeah. That's kind of my view on that.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Thanks, Kathic, for sharing your views.
For soapboxing. Yeah.
No, it's
about
cool.
AI.
No,
that's where I feel like AI is.
I feel like you should do it more. This soapboxing thing, like it's a good way to like kind of unleash your thoughts or write. You should
I do need to start writing again.
It's yeah.
It's been a long time since I wrote. I do have a lens, so I should probably start writing there.
So if you write, I'll subscribe. So
all right. I'll figure out what to write about. Always feels weird expressing that.
Sometimes I felt the same way too, but all of a sudden it's like sometimes like within reason, I don't care anymore. Like sometimes it's just like, you just gotta voice it out because it might help someone. Right. So.
Well, and the other half is I don't feel like I have informed opinions. Like you won't hear me say something definitive about something that I haven't formed an opinion about. A lot of people ask me questions where I just don't have the information to answer. I feel like it's irresponsible to give my opinion on something that I, by definition, can't know an answer about. It's sort of what pisses me off about voting right now. I really think the democratic process of voting is important. But how many people make enough money to have the time to sit at home and review the candidates? Like Seattle is wonderful. They send you the information to your house. They literally they print out books for every ballot. They're like, here's all the information about every candidate. And here's the ballot, and you can mail it back in to us. And just fill it out, mail it back in, do your research on this. And they do that for every election, every quarter, every 4 months or whatever. But most people don't have that. And even then, you have to have the time to sit down and read this 30-page book about candidates and make informed decisions. Like it's on the one hand, I really want people to be involved in voting, but there's definitely, it's a luxury to have the time to do so.
Yeah.
hustling.
Same with the, I guess, luxury to have the time to think as well, I think.
Yeah. If you're spending all your time reacting, I do think there's an incredible value in creating empty space in your life. That was one of the things for my mental health was you have to create time in your schedule every day, guilt-free time where you are allowed to do nothing. And that's hard because you feel like you're wasting that time, but you're not, because things happen in that emptiness, important things. Your brain will wander. You will breathe differently. Relax a little bit. The tension goes away. Things will occur to you. Sometimes you can do it as an active meditation while you're exercising, when you go for a walk or whatever else. You can find, like, again, when I was doing my powerlifting, you had, I was nationally qualified.
Wow.
I was squatting like 550. Blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
So when you have that much weight on your back, you don't think about anything else. There's a certain clarity between reps where you can't think about anything except for recovery. And ideas and thoughts occur in that empty space. And unless you sort of find yourself. And it doesn't have to be that extreme. Just give yourself 20 minutes at the beginning of the day or the middle of the day. It's just, no, this is my empty time, just to see where my brain goes. And maybe you spend the whole time stressing about not getting things done. That's fine. You'll probably spend at least one of those minutes prioritizing, and you'll be better for it. So
You have a lot of wisdom, I think, I'm gonna say. So it's great.
it comes from screwing it up a lot.
Hey, that's how we learn, right? You're supposed to go, make mistakes, fail, and then try again. Just try and try again. So same with me as well. But I think our time might be up. But this is really,
I've been talking for a while. So
no, yeah, this is about an hour. But it honestly was like, so it was a pleasure to meet you, Kathic. And if you want to do another one of these days, like we'd love to have you on, and would love to help you out in any way I can with my network.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I guess the only shout outs I have right now are, I have vEVM, which is what's making me popular right now, which is just a single component for my Not Your Keys game, which I'm going to try to release in a couple of months. The front end to vEVM was made by Elita, somebody I met through EtherDAO. She's one of my mentees. I'm the mentor over there. And I highly recommend, if you need front end work, styling in particular, if she can find time in her schedule to go talk to her, but stop by EtherDAO and you can get over to her there. And then everybody knows about my penchant for optimism. There's something about an organization that chooses their identity about being positive in a crypto space that is largely not.
True.
So yeah, that's what I got. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
You have a good day, Kathic. Take care. And that's a wrap on another insightful episode of the Peter's Drive podcast, where we bring you the latest and greatest from the world of technology and finance. We hope you enjoyed hearing from Kathic, an expert in embedded hardware and firmware, as he shared his knowledge on programming and bytecode. His insight into the differences between Optimism and Arbitrum, the Ethereum ultrasound money meme, and the challenges of understanding political candidates and local elections were gnarly. Thank you for tuning in, and we can't wait to bring you more exciting content on our next episode. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for more insights and knowledge from industry experts. See you soon.